Today we have another bunch of news. There's been announced the latest fusion that's going to be coming next Tuesday, and together with that we have several events, and I want to do a big warning on, depending on what you're planning, what's going to be coming on this weekend and what can you expect in the next coming weeks in terms of events, Leo event, the Raphael event that we had a couple of days ago, and so on. So let's have a look at it. Hi, Senda here and welcome to another raid video. And in this case we have quite a lot of information to go over because there's been several information. We have a lot of things. First of all, I'm gonna tackle the latest information, which is the event that we're gonna be having this weekend. Let's come over here to the game because we've had this the Deck of Fate event with Raphael that got announced. I managed to get him. I didn't have many souls. I had to burn like 6,000 gems, almost 10k energy, so shitloads of energy, shitloads of resources. But finally, I have the last turtle that I was missing. We have it here, Raphael, ready to pull in the next clan versus clan, because I already have the rest. I got lucky enough to get a Leo, and I got the fusion, and Michelangelo was for free, so that was the only one that I was missing. However, this weekend we have an event that is, well, we have actually 3 events. And they're tricky, and there's a lot of information on all these events, and it's worth doing a video a bit like kind of dissecting every single of these 3 events so you can plan according to what you need. First of all, this weekend, according to the schedule, or at least according to how they usually plan the events, we used to have one weekend ×2 on Sacred Shards, then 2 weeks later we had another ×2 on Ancient Shards, and then another 2 weeks later we had a ×2 in Void Shards, and in between we used to have ×10s or ×15 and so on. However, this weekend was supposed to be a ×2 in blue shards, in ancient shards, and they changed it. Maybe we'll see why they changed it, but in this case they changed it to a void. So this Friday, Saturday and Sunday we're going to be having a ×2 in void shards. That's the first event, because there's 3 main events. The second main event, it's gonna be a ×10 in Shredder, which is here, is another of the champions from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles collab. In this case, it's not a bad champion. It's definitely better than Jinro, for example, but it's not mind-blowing, it's not amazing, it's not Leo, it's not Ieyasu. It's not one of these void legendaries that are going to carry your account, that are amazing, worth putting and all your resources in, and the best gear and everything you have. It's not that good. It's decent, but it's not that good. Even though now it will be kind of the best chance to get him. A ×2 and a ×10 is probably one of the best chances to pull certain champion, because you're never gonna get more chances to get one single specific champion. ×15, I'm not very fond of them. And then here you have a 1% chance of getting the legendary champion, and there's not that many Void legendary champions, so a ×10 in Void is a bit more significant. So there's quite high chances that you can pull him. That's actually how I pulled Leo. A couple of weeks ago, again, there was a ×2 in Void, a ×10 in Leo, and like I said, I managed to pull him. I was lucky enough. We'll get into more depth with the Leo event and what's the situation and what's the latest information. There's not many changes, but with the latest confirmation of the Raphael on the Deck of Fate, kind of ticks all the boxes from all the original information that got leaked. That in one hand. And then that was the 2 events, the 2 of the 3 events, the ×2, the ×10. This ×10, if you're interested in pulling Shredder for whatever reason, because you have already Leo and you want to get all the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles champions, it's a good chance to get him. But that's going to be running Friday and Saturday. If you're not interested in Shredder, but you still want to open Void Shards, the best time is Sunday. Sunday is going to be ×2, no Shredder, ×10. But there's a third event going on, and it's quite a tricky event, because we're going to be able to get, it's going to be, let me double check it, it's going to be a champion chase. So it's a very typical event that we get during the fusion. And in this case, despite that is one of these champion chase tournaments, there is going to be, based on the level you have, if you place on the top 1 of your group, you're gonna get different rewards. So you can get the 3-star soul, the 4-star soul, or the 5-star perfect soul of Shredder, which means you are gonna have to open quite a lot of shards if you want to get top of your group. Normally, I mean, I wouldn't recommend going for him because we know there might be, and this is pure speculation, no one knows. If you read somewhere else or you hear somewhere else, which I actually heard and read in the comment section from other videos, people saying Leo is going to be on a warranted 150 or 120 void shard, like they used to do old school, where you have to open 120 void shards or whatever number they put, and if you haven't pulled Leo along the way, they'll just give it to you for free. I don't know where this information comes from. There is no information about this. I mean, there's no other leaks, there's no data mine, there's just 100% pure speculation. If you hear that or you read that from somewhere, they're lying to you because they don't know the information, because it's not information. I guess what they're doing is just discarding. But so far, all the events that got leaked in the beginning, the April Titan event, it happened. The Deck of Fate with Raphael happened. The Fusion, the Michelangelo, all of these events actually happened. It will be the last one, it will be the only one which it doesn't comply, that is not the same with the information that got leaked. It would be suspicious that will be the only one that doesn't happen to be, but anywhere it's been said that it's actually going to be a warranted void champion Leo only opening void shard. So it's pure speculation, has no solid base other than just discarding. That said, if you want to save these shards for whatever player you might come up with, you might want to also keep in mind that this champion chase event, and this is a bit tricky, is gonna be hiding 300 points of these pizza points, which means that if you're going after April, you're gonna have to open something. Obviously it's gonna depend on what events did you skip. If you skipped Leo, if you skipped the event with Raphael on the Deck of Fate, there was 100 points behind the cards. If you skipped the Hero's Path with Granite Soul, there was also quite a lot of pizza points behind there. You also had to get some there. And on top of that, like I said, there's going to be 300 points on that event, on this next coming I keep forgetting the name, Champion Chase Tournament is going to be coming also 300 points. So you're kind of forced to open something, at least to get a couple of points in order to get points for this if you're going after April. In my case, I'm going after her, so I'm gonna have to open something, but I'm not interested at all in Shredder, so I'm gonna be probably opening on Sunday. That said, this is all the information times 2, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, times 10, Friday, Saturday, and the event going on until the end of the times 2, so finishing Monday morning for me, Europe time, and we're gonna have to open something because we need points. Maybe not all 300 points, but at least 150 or 200 points will be actually quite useful. Other than that, I think that's all the information, because we also have the Fusion. I'm gonna go quickly over it because I haven't gone on this channel. I made a dedicated video on the Spanish one, but I didn't have physical time to have that many channels with that many videos. I'm gonna go quickly over the Fusion, which is over here. In this case, the name of the champion is called Sanguine Mary. It's going after the tale or the legend of Bloody Mary, which basically if you go into a mirror and you say her name 3 times, she would appear. That's why there's 3 mirrors behind of her. That's why she has like 2 knives and there's blood on her kind of dress. It's actually a pretty cool looking champion. And this is going to be the Fusion coming next Tuesday, which is day 21st or yeah, Thursday 23. So next week's Thursday is going to be starting the Fusion of Sanguine Mary. The type of Fusion is going to be hybrid, which means you're probably going to have to get champion fragments from the epic, then get all 4 epics, and all 4 epics fuse them into her. She's a legendary attack champion, so pretty cool. Normally these ones scale quite nicely, they tend to hit quite hard, and her kit is actually quite insane. It's pretty weird, but it's quite insane. So on the A1, attacks an enemy 3 times. I'm going to put this slightly better so you can see better. Attacks an enemy 3 times. Each hit has a 30% chance of granting an extra turn. Cannot gain more than 1 extra turn. 3 hits with a 33% chance of getting an extra turn on each of these is very, very likely that you're gonna get an extra turn. However, you can only get 1 extra turn, and you cannot get an extra turn if you're thinking, okay, I'm gonna put her with like Relentless, so she's gonna be getting double turn, one from the skill and maybe one from Relentless. It doesn't work like that. You can only get one single turn. We asked that to Plarium, they confirmed it. So pretty interesting. On the A2, here's where things start getting juicy. Attacks one enemy, will ignore 33% of the target's defense. Remember, and it's going to be a lot of 3-thing related. 3 mirrors, say her name 3 times, and in this case 33 of the enemy's target's defense, or the target's defense, will ignore 99%, so 3 times 33, of the target's defense, stone skin, and block damage instead of the previous thing, if this skill is used on a turn number that is divisible by 3. This is 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, and so on. And this applies only to her own turns. It's not like Odin, that whatever champion's number of turns count. It's only her turns, also confirmed by Plarium. If the target is killed, increases the cooldown of all enemy skills by 3 turns, which is pretty powerful. It's like Fabian in a sense, and this effect cannot be resisted if this skill is used on a turn number that is divisible by 3. Which means, ideally, we should kind of start with the A3, then do A1, and because we can get an extra turn, we will be directly on turn 3, and since we already have 3 turns, we can smack with the A2, and because it's going to be a turn divisible by 3, it's going to be ignoring pretty much 100% of the defense, stone skin, block damage, and putting all the enemy skills on cooldown, and this cannot be resisted, so she doesn't even need accuracy. So pretty powerful skill, however, you need to kind of play around this 3-turn thing. On the A3, attacks one enemy, before attacking removes all buffs from all the enemies, pretty powerful. This effect cannot be resisted by enemies with a number of buffs that is divisible by 3, so enemies under 3, 6 or 9 debuffs will attack all remaining enemies with less than 66% HP, so if they have 2/3 of the health, she will hit them, and grants an extra turn if this champion is under a number of buffs that is divisible by 3, which means 3, 6 or 9 buffs. So the idea is you start, you put 3 buffs on her, you do A3, you get an extra turn, then you go into A1, you get another extra turn, and then you smack with the A2. That's a bit what I guess the idea behind her kit is. Finally, her passive, say her name, each subsequent hit from this champion deals 33% more damage, stacks up to 99%, which is quite insane, doing almost 100% damage just because. Resets after the 99% damage, bonus is applied. So basically on the A1, the first hit is going to hit 33% harder, second one 66, the third one 99, which is quite insane, and A2 is going to hit so hard anyways that it's going to kill everything because it ignores 100% of defense and stone skin and block damage, so really, really powerful. Also, on the other way, each subsequent hit this champion receives deals 33% less damage, so the more you hit her, the less damage she's going to be taking, stacks up to 100% or 99%, and resets when this 99% bonus is hit. And finally, whenever an enemy is revived, revive this champion with 33% HP and 66% turn meter, and after being revived, places a true fear on all enemies for 2 turns, and this debuff cannot be resisted or blocked, regardless of how many turns or anything. So basically, the thing is I don't see any cooldown on this passive, which I understand that if she dies, anytime a champion revives, so for example, imagine a Wukong that revives on its own, she is going to be reviving at the same time, kind of putting fears constantly over and over again, receiving less damage, so very, very powerful. Possible synergy on this champion, I mean, she's going to be really, really powerful. It's going to be good news for some people, bad news for other people, because you might be completely drained of resources. On the other hand, I think it's a pretty good fusion. It's a mix between, I don't know, Fabian on the A2, but at the same time it's able to ignore a lot of defense, which is like a Rotos, they're both from the same faction, also able to pierce through block damage, also playing a lot with the extra turns, same way as Rotos. I don't know, it's very similar, single target hits, so it's powerful. I think it's really, really powerful. We're gonna see her around. I think it's a fusion worth going for, but again, we've been quite tight with resources these last couple of weeks. We had fusions, we got events, we got so many things going on that this fusion, I forgot to say, also on Aura, increases attack lag by, guess what, 33%. But this is pretty much all the information that we had on today's day. Normally I would have liked to split it into videos, but I rather having all the information in one. You see one video to get all the information, instead of having to wait for another video and I have to edit two and so on and so on. So it's less effort for me. That's all for the information that we're gonna have towards the weekend. Fusion, event, times 2, times 10, events, everything. That's all from me today. Anything, you can leave it down in your comments. Over here, recommended video. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.